Welcome back to episode this Friday night of waiting for the season to pop up. It's right around the corner for us. But here at East West, we've been breaking down the divisions. We've already done NFC East. That was Jerry and the rest of the gang. And then last weekend we did NFC South. So we're going to jump over to NFC West. Now the NFC West division, which is Seattle, 49ers, Cardinals, and Seahawks. But I also have with me here today Robert Street and Jay King.
What's going on, man? What's going on, man?
What's up, y'all?
How you guys doing? All right.
So me and the boys went and found, we all found like relevant information, as far as this division. So we're going to let Robert kick it off with, what's going on down in Seattle.
Yeah, as far as what's going on in Seattle, man, Russell Wilson got traded in the offseason from the Seattle Seahawks to the Denver Broncos, so he's officially Denver Bronco now.
Bronco country. That's right.
I don't know if you remember back in the day, Russell Wilson actually won his first Super Bowl against the Denver Broncos when he went up against Peyton Manning. That Super Bowl was in New York. I'm trying to remember what Super Bowl that was, but it was a bad ass whooping by the Broncos. Mm-hmm. That's when they had the Legion of Boom. And it's just funny to see Russell Wilson's a Denver Bronco now. I can't believe it. It's kind of hard to imagine that this guy just beat a team in the Super Bowl like years ago, and now he's actually playing for that team. And then guess what? The first week of the season, we got the Denver Broncos going to Seattle. So what do you know? Russell Wilson's going up against his old team, and should be a hell of a game. It's going to be crazy. I know the fans are going to be booing Russ a lot, the 12th man there, and he's looking forward to going up against his old teammates, and I'm sure his old teammates are looking forward to going up against him, and it should just be a great game. Denver, Seattle to kick off week 1. What do you guys think about the Seattle Seahawks going into the season in week 1, and your thoughts on like Russell Wilson being a Denver Bronco now?
Yeah, for sure. I was gonna say, I think with a lot of the focus being in, I'll let Blake probably touch on Denver a little more. I think I'll touch a little bit more on Seattle. I think it's going to be a real test to see what type of coach Pete Carroll is throughout the entire season, especially. But that's a real tough game for a season opener. Seattle is kind of in the house right now because we're in the dark on what's going on between Geno Smith and Drew Lock right now. We don't know if they're in the bid for any other quarterbacks that are out there. They do have a really strong run game, so I expect to see them really try and dominate up front. I think Penny is going to have a much bigger season this year than he has in the past. He's finally able to get a little bit healthy, shake some of those injuries off he's had in the past. Chris Carson be coming back healthy after missing a lot of last season with neck and back injuries. And the Miami guy, DJ Dallas, another big time, but that's just a big time playmaker in the backfield. So I expect to see them rely a lot less on the passing game than they have in previous years, even though they really honestly have been a balanced team. But even more so, just powering the ball out, trying to get their defense back to being the Legion of Boom like they were before to see if they can, even keep themselves in the running. The NFC West is a star-studded division, but I do think that the teams altogether are a little bit weaker than the other NFC teams, other than maybe the North. And so they'll they're going to have their opportunity to at least stay in the hunt for a wild card. But it's going to be a tough season for Seattle all year long. Just bottom line is what it looks like.
For sure. So you guys both jumped on the whole Russell situation for sure, which is definitely the biggest news from that. But, we called Russ the captain of that offense, the leader of that offense. They just lost the leader of that defense as well. Bobby Wagner's gone, So you take that into account. You were talking earlier about Legion of Boom is no more. Now you don't even have your like no member from Legion of Boom is there anymore. So this is not only are you trying to figure out offense, now you have to figure out defense. So it's definitely going to be a good year to watch Pete Carroll and see what he does. The over/under, I'm going to get the over/under on all these games and just see what you guys think, or on all these teams. Win total. The Seattle Seahawks are set at 5.5 wins this year.
I'd take the over on that. I think Pete Carroll's a good enough coach to get 6 to 7 every season, especially with the added game. Him going 7-10 seems completely reasonable. So I think that's a good bet to take the over.
Yeah, I'd probably go to over too. Maybe like 7 and 9. They do have a good coach also. Pete Carroll. I respect him, and I think Seattle's running game is going to be a lot better this year. They don't have to rely on Russ. Whoever's starting, Drew Lock or Geno Smith, is just going to have to pretty much be a game manager, and they'll probably rely more, on their defense. So I could see him getting 6-7 wins, possibly.
I'm a bounce off you there because this is gonna sound crazy. It's gonna sound crazy, but the whole quarterback situation, Drew Lock. We don't think. People, NFL fans would agree. We don't think he is the future of the Seahawks. Could be. I could be wrong, but honestly, the man I'm watching this play QB for the Seahawks next is going to be Jimmy Garoppolo. A trade is bound to happen with them. I read up and saw Tony Romo was saying like it's going to happen for sure. He's going to get traded. Unless, and not too many people think about this, unless Trey Lance is absolutely just doing terrible right now at camp and OTAs and stuff, and they're looking scared to get rid of Jimmy G. And that's the whole situation. Jimmy G is getting traded. And you look at the quarterback situation right now around the league, and Seattle's probably down there as far as the worst. I saw an article where Texans came out and said they didn't want him. They believe in Davis Mills. So when you really look at it, you look at like who would even be willing to, wanting to mess with their QB situation now for Jimmy G. And it's hard because in the same division, he knows so much already, about that team that, it's almost like you don't want to do that. You're just giving like the rival your best teammate. So I don't know. It's gonna be a hard thing, but when Jimmy G gets signed to Seattle, we will replay this.
Well, to bounce off that real quick, just before we depart from the quarterback discussion, there's actually a couple quarterbacks that really are gonna that Seattle's gonna have an option to take a play at. And their defense did make some additions in the draft and through trade. They did get Shelby Harris from the Broncos in that trade. That's a good player to add to any defense. So, you think about that. You think about the situation with Malik Willis in Tennessee, what's going to happen to Ryan Tannehill. You think about what could happen with Darnold and Mayfield. Mayfield's been tied to Seattle. We don't know if Matt Corral's going to step up there in Carolina still. So there's players out there who can give them an opportunity. So they got Tyrod Taylor's journeying around again. You know what I mean? So there's guys out there.
If you can go make that choice right now, and it's you sitting in that GM chair, who are you trying to go get?
Well, of course I want to go get Jimmy G. Of course I want to go get him. Absolutely. Of course I do. But if I'm a GM looking at somebody like Jimmy G or Baker Mayfield, I'm going to take my losses this season. I'm going to take my bumps, and I'm going to get them when they're free the next year. If I'm really thinking about it.
I like that. And so we're talking about the dismantling of the Seahawks right now. Pete Carroll being the guy he is, we believe in him. But I think the next team over, as far as dismantling, is the 49ers, like we just talked about. With that whole quarterback situation, so weird. Will they even be able to get a really good deal for Jimmy G? Having waited this long, will he be worth it? Trey Lance, does it take him longer than expected to develop? If he's not ready yet, then of course, George is there, yes, and Debo's still there for now. But without Jimmy G, it's going to be new. It's going to be like the rookie last year, basically. With them, it's going to see a lot of growth. It's going to see a lot of stuff with him. So I think the over-under for the 49ers is set at 10. I'm going to take the under on that. So we'll start with Rob. Y'all just give me the over-under, and then what you think about the 49ers.
Yeah, I would say 49ers. I'd probably go a little bit under. I think 10 wins is probably about right. They still got Jimmy G. I think Jimmy G is going to play well this year. I hope Trey Lance.
You think that's going to play him this year? You don't think Jimmy G's getting traded?
Yeah, I see that. But for now, he's probably going to go to Seattle. Yeah, I did hear that he's getting traded to go to Seattle. I'm wondering what other teams might be interested in him. But
Yeah.
for now, as long as he's on the 49ers, like I think they should be fine with him. But if
You think they'll go with him over Trey Lance?
it's possible that I can see him going to Seattle, but obviously you don't want to trade your quarterback to like a rival team like that, especially in the division. But I mean, it's happened.
Yeah.
So I mean, it could happen. Anything's possible. But personally, I wouldn't do it. I would try to see if I could trade him to a team in the AFC if they want him, or possibly another team in the NFC outside of the division. He was obviously good in with the Patriots before he got traded to San Fran. Obviously, Patriots have Mac Jones, but you could bring Jimmy G over and have a little quarterback competition and see who does better, and maybe it would be good for Mac. Yeah, we'll see. It would be good for Mac Jones to get a little competition, and at least like we know Mac Jones is the starter there, but if he does struggle, you can always put in Jimmy G, and you have a veteran starter in there that can do some things. So that would be interesting. And
I definitely think Belichick is liking Mac Jones, but that's not a crazy take. Jimmy G back to the Patriots. That's not.
It is a really good take.
Yeah, it's not crazy at all. But before I asked you, Jay, over under 10 wins, do you think there's any chance Jimmy G starts? Like, am I the only one that thinks Trey Lance is definitely the starter going into the season?
I do think that Jimmy G will, as training camp starts out and they start really getting into OTAs and I think he will start as the QB1. I do think they're going to try and work Trey Lance into their offense gradually, kind of like they did this past season. Give him some spot plays like they did with Jalen Hurts, and ultimately it will be up to the team as they see that happening. To make that evaluation, hopefully before the trade deadline, so that they can get some value for Jimmy G if they're going to be a team that's able to contend with Trey Lance. Personally, I do think Trey Lance is more of a raw talent right now, and I do think that I think the 49ers are looking at the Jimmy G situation as a situation where he can learn and he can teach Trey Lance. It really comes down to whether they trade him, comes down to whether or not Jimmy G is willing to be the mentor or whether he wants to be the guy for his team. And so that's one that honestly, I'm not sure. I don't know that the Niners know, quite honestly, what they want to do there. Trey Lance has attributes that you can't coach, just quite frankly. And I think everybody knows that you can't coach some of the things that he's able to do. But that being said, I really couldn't say. But I do. My take on where Jimmy G might end up is the football team. Honestly, the Commanders. I don't see Carson Wentz working out for them, and I don't see.
But that's not what they think. They believe in Carson Wentz right now, man. What are you talking about?
They can believe all they want, but time will tell. So I really truly believe that's not the fit. Old buddy from UNC, that they drafted, I really like him.
Sam Howell.
Sam Howell. I love Sam Howell. Peyton Manning-esque in his play style, but he's not ready, and that's just the bottom line. But I think a guy like Jimmy G is exactly like what Carson Wentz is, or what they think Carson Wentz is at the very least. And so that could be a fit that would work for them. If the football team finds themselves lobbying for a spot in that division and quarterback is where they're lacking, I think they could easily, make a trade for Jimmy G, send Carson Wentz over there, elevate Trey Lance to the starting role. Then you still have a veteran to mentor your young quarterback, but you get a better quarterback in place for those weapons in Washington. As for the over-under over there, I agree with Rob over there, man. 10 is the most I can see them winning, because that division is a slaughter. It's a slaughter fest, man. You got the Rams, the Cardinals, them. I mean, between that alone, it's not looking good for anybody. So I would.
Okay, I'll say under on that one.
Huh?
I think we've agreed on both over unders. We said over on the 5.5.
Yeah, I think
under on
Yeah, because 11 to 12 is the very best case scenario I see them winning, and that's just because I can't see them winning less than 10 because you have arguably the best one of the 5 best defensive players in the league on your team in Bosa. You have probably the best linebacker core in the NFL between Warner and Greenlaw. And you've just got dogs. You got dogs all across the board. You've got guys that can play in the secondary. So that they're going to be a fun team to watch no matter what. Shanahan can draw up plays for anybody. You're going to see. I think we're going to see a leap from Ayuk this year. A leap we've been waiting for at that. So I can't see them being too awful. Even if Trey Lance does become the starter, winning less than 8 games is hard for me to imagine for them. They just have a good team, So that's where I'd put them.
Trey Lance will be the starter. I'm telling y'all right now. But going from them over to the defending Super Bowl champs, the Rams, they're sort of sitting at 10.5. They lose a lot on defense and even some on offense. They lost Robert Woods, wide receiver, and they lost on defense. They lost Sebastian Joseph Day, which is a D lineman. If Aaron Donald isn't there, they're definitely number 1 D lineman. But Aaron Donald, as we know, is a generational talent. He's not losing that spot anytime soon. So they lose their second best defensive lineman. They lose Von Miller, who they brought in, to help them win that championship. Von Miller's trying to get another one. And then
possibly
they also and then Robert Woods actually him. Dan Jefferson has been a great wide receiver 3 for them. He's just third year out of UF, Florida guy. He's been a really good wide receiver 3 for them, but I don't know if he steps in right away to fill out that role. And 10.5 wins for them is honestly it's a little low, but I think the odds people got there kind of right, better than the other 2, especially. But Stafford's going to be more comfortable with this offense. Chargers, we got him like week 2. I think I'm a little scared. I don't lie, but I take over on their 10.5. They're going to win about 12, 13 games this year for sure. But I'm really trying to find a hole, and if there is one, it's the linebackers because they also lost Troy Reader, which has been there for a long guy. He's a linebacker for them. So if they have it might be middle linebacker or they veteran Andrew Whitworth at left tackle. He's finally retired, so I really don't see many holes in this. Otherwise, but I think that 10.5 is good. I think they win about 12 games.
Rob, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. Yeah, I see the Rams winning definitely more than 10 games. You look at that team; they got pretty much everybody back. They're going to have their running backs back, Cam Akers and the other guy, Henderson. Darrell Henderson. Their wide receivers, a big sign in the offseason was getting Allen Robinson, the third. He'll probably replace Odell. And you still got Cooper Kupp. You got the tight end, Higbee.
Why are you on wide receivers? Because I didn't hit it. OBJ, is he coming back?
I can't see it happening.
I don't think so either. I think with Allen Robinson signing there, I can't see them signing OBJ. I just think it's too much, too many wide receivers. I mean, I could see them signing them if one of those wide receivers were to get injured, but if they stay healthy, then they should be good. Stafford's coming back. You got Sean McVay, who's a great coach. Stafford fits everything he wants under that offense. So yeah, they're definitely going to probably win 12, 13 games. They play Tampa this year. I want to see that game, the rematch of that Tampa Bay Rams game. Obviously, that was last year in the divisional round. That should be a hell of a game. I think they're playing in. I don't know if they're playing in Tampa or they're playing in LA for that game. But yeah, that should be a great game. And then obviously the opener, they got the Bills coming in there. The Bills are probably one of the 2 favorites to make it to the Super Bowl. So that should be a good game. You got Von Miller going up against his old team. So yeah, the Rams should be very good again, and we'll see what happens. I mean, but they should be the favorite in the NFC West. I don't see really any other team challenging. Any other team challenging. No. Yeah, but maybe San Francisco. I think the Cardinals are going to be better this year, but I think they're the clear favorite in that division.
Yeah. So when I look at the Rams, I am a little bit on the fence about them. They're losing. They did lose some key pieces in Whitworth, OBJ, guys like that, Reader, the guys that did definitely contribute to their Super Bowl run. Not enough to get them under 10 wins, though. They're going to I agree, 12 wins the Bears won 12 games with Mitchell Trubisky a couple years ago, and they're going to get an extra opportunity to win a 12th game this year. So I can't see the Rams losing less than that. What I really think it comes down to, it's going to be a Sean McVay, Matt Stafford thing as to how far they go this year. Everybody knows what they want to do now. They see the capabilities of their offense. Their defense is taking a few hits, not many, but a few hits. So everybody's gonna give them a better look than they gave them last year. I think we can expect to see them. Robert touched on it. Rely a lot more on their run game this year. They will get Akers back. Henderson will be hopefully healthy for the whole season. And then they had a rookie last year, Funk, who really made some splashes in the preseason and in training camp that they've been looking to work him in. In the wide receiver room, I don't think they're hurting without OBJ. I think Tyler Higbee is well underrated at his position. I think Allen Robinson is going to get an opportunity to play with a much better quarterback than he ever has, and that's going to elevate him. Cooper Kupp is still Cooper Kupp. I do like the Van Jefferson connection in LA. I really think that he makes big-time plays and timely plays. And then he really struggled in the Super Bowl. But throughout the majority of the playoffs did well, but they have a guy named Ben Swarcenick, was a rookie this year, undrafted guy, slot type guy. McVay really likes him. Stafford really likes him. He's a really smart player. Could just be one of those type of safety valves that really help you move the chains. I think he's a guy that I think that guy's part of the reason they're comfortable losing guys like OBJ and Robert Woods because they got youth that they feel like can carry them through it. But I really think it's going to be a testament to Sean McVay. How much can he make adjustments while keeping the same identity he has on offense? I know we've seen Matt Stafford have extremely high highs and extremely low lows in the past. So this is going to be the challenge to him. And so I'm excited to see that. But 12 wins. I agree. If they're not the lead in their division, then they're the 1A to the Cardinals, which still gives them the lead in my mind if they're the 1A. So I can't see them at under 12 games out of the 17-game schedule. So.
Yeah, and you touched on McVay, in this test. This year's definitely going to be a test for him, with those moving pieces. But I think McVay's built the culture there. In his time, and you got leaders like Ramsey and Aaron Donald and his respect after this season. So you got leaders. We're gonna be able to, take this team to 12 wins this year. I'm glad we all agreed on that. Phone call.
Is that me? Oh, my bad.
I muted it.
Okay.
Alrighty. But that just leaves us with the Cards, which I believe have not really been talked about much this offseason, minus Kyler Murray's contract situation, which I can go ahead and clear up. There's been good news coming from Cardinals camp, basically saying it should be done before preseason. That should be done, which is actually like surprising news in a way, because if you guys remember, I know you guys remember, back in the spring, Kyler Murray took everything Cardinals related off his, social media stuff. So everybody was like, for sure he was gone. But it seems like the team's, gotten closer with that. My only worry with Cardinals, to be honest, they lose Chandler Jones, which I don't think was as big of a move as people think it was. He was good. He's great, but he's not like the difference between a Super Bowl or, missing the playoffs. He's not that different. So they do lose him, yes, on defense, but you got Isaiah Simmons coming into his own. But the more
he got to develop a lot.
Yeah, he really did. If you looked at him in his rookie season to where he, what he did last season, it hurt me seeing him his rookie season. I had so much like hopes for him. His ceiling was so high.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah. So yeah, it's good to see him progress. But the big thing with the Cardinals now is the Deandre Hopkins situation. He's still suspended for 6 games right now for performance-enhancing drugs. He came out and said what it was. I forget what it was. It was like something he was taking his protein or something like that.
Yeah, steak or
it's not
something
on
usually is.
Yeah, something unintentional. So he is gone for 6 games, but they do get they got Hollywood Brown, Marquis Brown from the Ravens for first round pick in 22. So he'll be able to step in right away. I believe they re-signed AJ Green. Zach Ertz got a fair deal. So that wide receiver core for Kyler looks pretty good. That O-line is gonna have to take a little step up from last year. Kyler was
Definitely
a lot last year. But with all that being said, I like their offense. Their defense is a little questionable, but I think the oddmakers hit it on the head again when they have them set at 9.5, 9.5 wins. So I'm gonna take personally. Oh, it's 8.5. I'm sorry, 8.5. I'll take over on 8.5 because I think they win 9 games this year. But if it would have been 9.5, no, I'm not taking it. I believe they're winning right at 9 games this year. So with the over under set at 8.5, Robert, what do we got on the card?
Yeah, with the Cardinals, I say maybe they probably win like 11 at the most, maybe like 8 at least. They're definitely going to be up there, 9 or 10 wins. They should be a playoff team. I like their offense too. They got Hollywood Brown from the Ravens. You also got the running back. You got James Conner. You got Zach Ertz, obviously. So their offense is good. I think their offense is fine. But you look at their defense, it's a little bit maybe questionable. But I think they should be okay and be up there with the Rams, challenging for that division. And I think it's probably going to be those two teams going at it. They played last year each other pretty tough. I think the Cardinals might have won both matchups against the Rams. But it's definitely a competitive rivalry there between those two teams. So we'll definitely see what happens.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals are a team that are flying under the radar, and deservedly so, because they haven't done much, and it's hard to do much when you're stuck in the handcuff that Kyler Murray kind of put them in terms of, I need my money now. And I understand, being a young quarterback in a quarterback's market, needing your money, but they weren't able to make many moves other than the Hollywood Brown move this year, which is an underrated move. That gives their receiving core is ridiculous right now, even without D-Hop. They still have Larry for one more year. They were able to retain AJ Green. They still have Rondell Moore.
Larry is gone, brother.
Yeah.
No, he said he's coming back for one more, man.
You're lying, bro. Fitzgerald's not coming back. Really?
Bro, I could be wrong. On that, but I'm pretty sure he's come back for one more. But they still had AJ. They're going to have Rondell Moore still. They're going to have Marquis Brown still. Max Williams, tight end, got hurt last year. They ended up getting Zach Ertz to replace them, but that gives them 2 tight ends that could put up Pro Bowl numbers, because Max Williams was, even though he's not as good as Zach Ertz, he was scoring last year for them, able to help them with the ball. I think it is underrated, the departure of Chase Edmonds from their squad. He put up a lot of yardage for them. He put up a lot of yardage for them last year.
Where'd he go?
Especially in the passing game. He plays for the Dolphins now. Raheem Mostert ended up. He's in Buffalo right now, I believe, is where he ended up. No. I'm sorry. Raheem Mostert plays for the Dolphins with him, actually. They're both
loaded up on running back.
Yeah. So that's another team that's who can tell what they can do. But the Cardinals offensively, I think they're going to be a juggernaut again. They do need to address the offensive line. Still, they need to do more to address that. Kyler's been the most sacked quarterback in the league for about 3 years now. They got to do something about that. But in terms of skill positions, I mean, James Conner led the league in rushing touchdowns last year, I believe. So we're looking at a team that can definitely move the ball, that can definitely get it done. Defensively, they played the majority of the season last year without their biggest addition in J.J. Watt. You know what I mean? They'll get an opportunity to get him back this year. I completely agree with your take on Isaiah Simmons being taking a big leap this year with the departure of Chan Jones. I believe they were. I may be wrong on this too. I think they may have lost Jordan Hicks this offseason.
I think they did.
Which is a big.
I think they did.
I think he went to the Eagles, which would be a big hit. But they can still make some things. They can still make some things happen defensively with Budda Baker and guys like that playing in their secondary. So, as for the over/under, I can't see them losing, or I can't see them winning less than 10 games. At the very minimum, 9 was mine, but I think that I think I got them a game ahead of the Niners in any situation. So, not if the Niners are at 10 wins, I'd put the Cardinals at 11. I do have sole control of the division. Really, if I were to bet on it to go to the Rams, but like I said, if it were to be close, they would be my runner-up or my 1B in the Cardinals. I just think their offense it's too many weapons to stop right now. They've had a year now to work with some of those young guys and to really grow. And Kyler Murray is, arguably the most unguardable player in the NFL. It's hard to game plan against a guy like that. So we'll see what they can do. But I'd put them at the over on 10 or at 9.5. Put them right at 10 to 11 wins, and hopefully they can do something defensively to really bolster what that offense is able to do.
Yeah, I believe that these Cardinals, this team, they've kind of had this same core squad together now for a couple of years. And I don't know if it's just me, but you always notice at the beginning of the season, like the Cards, they can do something. Oh, they can do something, but they get through that.
They fizzle.
They get to that rough division schedule, and you're not winning 2 against Rams every year. You're not winning 2 against Seattle every year. You're not winning 2 against the 49ers every year. You're not. This year, though, however, as we're talking about them right now being this, 1B right up there with the Rams, man, you go steal 2 games against Seahawks and 1-1 everybody else, you're right there at the top of the division, and this could be the Cards year.
I think
I
think what they're able to do, I think what that division ultimately looks like, I think everybody can agree that the Seahawks will. It is possible the Seahawks make a splash for wild card, but very unlikely just off the nature of their coaching staff. But I think it really comes down to what happens with the quarterback situation in San Francisco. If they decide to go with the young guy, then you're looking at the Rams and the Cardinals potentially duking it out for the head of that division. If the 49ers are able to get healthy and stay healthy, which they've been unable to do for the past few years between their key players, the 49ers with a healthy roster are as good as anybody in the NFL. It's just a matter of, can Bosa play 16 games? Can Jimmy play 16? Can Debo play 16? Can Ayuk play them all? Their running backs can't even play them all. That's why Mostert's not there now. You know what I mean? So I do think the Cardinals are that second team in there, the one that are really going to play up with the Rams. And roster-wise, with what the Rams lost, the Cardinals didn't add too much, but really just losing Chandler Jones and Chase Edmonds and a potential Jordan Hicks. That's not as big of a drop-off as losing Andrew Whitworth. You know what I mean? It's just, unfortunately, it's not. So we'll see what happens there, but I would go Rams, Cardinals, Niners, Seahawks.
Rob, anything else on the card?
Yeah, man, I'm just excited to see Kyler Murray play with Hollywood Brown. Those 2 guys went
Absolutely.
to Oklahoma. Definitely, Hollywood Brown is going to definitely be that number 2 wide receiver behind DeAndre Hopkins. He'll definitely help out a lot when he's suspended for those first 6 games. And those guys just have a connection together with each other from Oklahoma. So I'm excited to see those guys play again. That should be fun.
We're not really. A lot of people aren't expecting much from Marquis Brown just because of where he came from with the Ravens. Yeah, he was a leading receiver.
He's an underrated player in this league, though.
I don't think he cracked 1,000 yards with the Ravens, though. But in its system, it's the way they run their offense.
Yep.
He's not going to crack. Mark Andrews, I think barely cracked 1,000. He was the best tight end in the league last year.
Yes.
So I think now we're going to see the real Hollywood Brown, and like you mentioned, Robert, love that you mentioned it's like a super guy. They played together at Oklahoma. Murray definitely was in there like, hey yo, like I got 1,000 yards for you over here, Brody. Like Lamar gonna run too much. So especially first 6 weeks with DeAndre Hopkins suspended, fantasy listeners if they're already. Buy hot on Marquis Brown at least for the first 6 weeks. But with that being we pretty much all agree on how this division plays out. We got the Rams at the tippy tip top, no question. And then if everybody plays to their abilities, Rams, Cards, 49ers, and then Seahawks. So I think we all agree on that. Will it actually happen? We shall see. We shall see. But
Yeah.
I
That's just a
love
tough division to ever gamble on.
Yeah, well, I mean, but you can almost say the same thing every year as far as like since Jalen Ramsey's been with the Rams number one.
Yeah.
Cards or
Niners.
Or Niners too, and then can Russell Wilson have a good year? You know what I'm saying? And maybe jump somebody and set somebody in four. So it's kind of been like this last few years. That's why I mentioned earlier the Cards could be their chance. Aaron Donald's still drunk from the parade in LA. You know what I'm saying? Like they just won, so this is your good time to get your get back right here. So we pretty much agree as far as the NFC West is concerned. Love to hop on another episode with you boys as always. Next week we'll get into the AFC. I think we're gonna start with the AFC West. Sorry, not sorry. But as always, it's been a pleasure to not only do the video for you guys, but everybody watching live and everybody who will watch later. Thank you so much for the support. Make sure you're following all of these West, socials. It's been thrown around at the bottom for a while. If you're not already, go do that for me, please. You can also follow me, Blakey Gardner on Twitter, Blake Gardner on Facebook, the real Blake Gardner on Instagram. You type in Blake Gardner on any social media site, you're probably gonna find it. So make sure you're following me. I'll let Robin, we'll let Rob start, but we'll let Robin J do their sign off. But thanks again, everybody for watching.
Hey, everybody out there, have a good night.
Yeah, everybody, thanks for coming to watch us. Like Blake said, follow East West on all platforms, East West Football, if you can, on all platforms. If you want to give me a follow on Twitter, it's 1997 J King. If you want to give me a follow on Instagram, it's JTFA_417. We'll post it every day. So, like I said, happy to give you guys a little bit of insight into what we're thinking about the NFL season, and we look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I know you guys see that TikTok down there too at East West Football. Go ahead and follow that. I'm running their TikTok. I'll get more videos out during the season. I got a couple on there now already. Go check it out. But we'll have the TikTok bumping during the season. We'll be back next
right
week,
down there.
Thursdays are going to be our day. We have some scheduling stuff this week, but Thursdays are going to be our day. So next Thursday night, 9 o'clock, we'll see you guys. Thanks again. East West Football. We out.
Peace.